long ago, I visited a classroom and we were doing an activity called mystery cards. And the teacher that I was working with was Mrs. Antos. What she wanted to do was have her third graders create this experience with mystery cards, except do it not with index cards, as you can see here, but with Google Slides. So I'm going to talk about that whole process because it was kind of a fun activity. They gave clues on one slide. It could be a picture, it could be text, and then they added the second slide next to it as the answer to the clues. She didn't necessarily follow it so much as important places, landmarks, or dates, but she did it more just important scenes within a text. They were doing on James and the Giant Peach. Anyway, the whole point is that it's a good idea that you could carry over into the technology world, especially with all the pictures that are available and whatnot. But this was the first time the students had used Google Slides, so that takes a lot of time. So to streamline the whole process, I recommend making your own template. So this video is more about editing the master in Google Slides in order to make templates for students. But at the same time, I'm making one for mystery cards. So I'm going to go ahead and start a brand new slides presentation here. When you first open a slides presentation, you'll get a set of themes to choose from over here. I'm not going to bother with those. I'll probably X right out of them. The other thing I can do is I can also start by titling this. So I'll probably start with actually titling it after I exit this out. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this mystery cards template. And so you can design this however you want. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start right off at the start into the master, because by editing the master, the students cannot manipulate those items that you put in there unless they're what are called placeholders. This part right here that says click to edit master title style is a placeholder. So when I go to insert, I can see that there's a placeholder option. There's 3 different options there. But any text boxes or shapes or anything cannot be moved around. So I could go ahead and just remove this for this title slide here. And I'm going to go ahead and use some word art because I prefer to use word art. It's kind of fun to use because then you can treat it more like an image than you do actual text. We'll go ahead and put that in there, and then you can adjust the coloring however you want. We'll give a nice gray outline. There we go. That's good enough. Okay, so I'll go ahead and shift this around like so. And then what I will do is I will insert a placeholder box here. I'm going to use the subtitle. And so I can also center it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a text box, something that the students cannot remove, but it's going to provide some information here. So I'm going to say this inside this box. So what this does now is it leaves a place for the student to get a picture of the book and then place it in here, and then they can type directly here. Now, when they insert a picture, they'll just have to use the picture icon and insert the picture of the book and then resize it so that way it fits in that space. Okay, now there's my first one. That's my title slide. So that's just one layout. Every time you use Google Slides, you get a whole ton of these pre-made layouts. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to hold down Control and click on each one because I really would rather just start from scratch, and I don't want the students to have to deal with this. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of those. To get rid of those, I'm just going to 2-finger click. I'm going to say delete layout. Okay, so there's that. Now what I probably need, this one is the title slide. This one, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this directions. Not that the students will want to have it. And this is where you could place the directions directly about the activity. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and insert a text box here. And I'll say directions. so here I have a directions slide. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new layout here. So I'm going to hit the plus, gives me a new layout. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the edit master title slide, or I should say box here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my own word art or text box. You can do it either way. I'm going to say clues. There we go. Go ahead and put this in, and you can even choose whatever font, color, whatever you want to do to it to make it appear the way you want it to. For time's sake, I'm just going to let it go at that. So then something else you can do for this template is you could include a table. That'd be a good way to do it. So I could do the 3 clues, and this would evenly space them out. Now, they wouldn't actually write in the table. It's just merely for the sake of having the table provide the spacing for these items. Here, I'm going to highlight this table here, or the top row, I should say, and I'm going to make those all centered. And I'm going to change the font size to 20 to make it a little bigger. And then for this box, we're going to make it and then what I will end with for this clues box is I'm going to insert some placeholders. So I'm going to put in the subtitle one. We'll place a box there. And I'll go ahead and place one here as well in case they need a text box. But they could also just insert a picture, or you could insert a picture and they could also just delete the existing box. But I'll go ahead and just put one in there for time's sake. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layout. I'm going to get rid of this placeholder, and I'm going to call this one answer. I'm going to rename this also as the answer card. I don't know if I did that with my clues card. Look at that, it still says custom layout, so I need to change that. I'm going to rename that to clues card. And that's important because when they hit the down arrow, but you can't see it right now because I'm in the slide master mode. I'm going to change this and put in some word art. I'm going to call this answers and hit enter. Go ahead and put it in, and we can set a color for it. Let's go ahead and let's do some blue there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just insert a placeholder here. And then if the students want to insert pictures or whatever, they can always resize this box. So there we go. Now they can put in the text in that placeholder box. So now when I share this through Google Classroom, the students will receive a copy of it. You could make it collaborative as well. That would be fine. You could have groups of students working on several different copies of the same template. But then when the students hit this down arrow here, they can choose between their title slide, the directions, the answer card, or the clues card. So when they're ready for a clues, they can just choose a clues card and they can start putting in the information. When they're ready for an answer card, they can just click on the answer card and they can put in the information. And this saves you and the students a lot of time, because when I had the students create the same experience, the problem was that it took a full 30 to 45 minutes just for the students to create this, and they barely got into creating any of their cards at all because they spent their entire time trying to build a template for themselves. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to change the master in the slides, so that way the students can't move these items. Because look, I cannot move when I'm in edit mode. I cannot move the word art, and I cannot move this text box. The only things that students can move are the placeholders, or they can add items directly in.